Welcome to Monza, everybody, for round number 4 of the 2020 International GT Open. It's the place where we started all of this back in 2006, and 15 years later we come here for the 15th edition of the International GT Open. And round number 4 officially kicking off the second half of the season. My name's Chris McCarthy. It's an absolute pleasure to be calling the action for you. As always, joining me in the commentary box will be Elliot Wood. That is a look of the start-finish line at Monza. I'm sure you all know what it looks like by now. Fantastic racing last time out at Red Bull Ring, and what that did was just prove to us how close this championship really is. In all 4 classes we have this weekend, only a handful of points separating our championship leaders. In the Pro class, we have just 8 points between the top 3. They're tied for the lead in Pro-Am. In Am, it's just 4 points. And in GT Cup Open, between the top 2 in the championship that are here this weekend, just 2 points between the top 2, 7 points between the top 3. It's going to be incredibly close racing out there. Qualifying proved that was a great qualifying session. It went right down to the wire, and snatching pole at the very last second was the Bentley of Yannick Mettler, and it's their first pole position. Team Lazarus, who are on home soil this weekend, couldn't have been a better weekend for them to get themselves on the front of the grid. And that is a look to the grid to the left of screen, the Bentley to the right, the Ferrari. So this is going to be your pole sitter then, Yannick Mettler. He left it right to the last minute, but Yannick Mettler at the very end, snatching the pole away from Vincent Abriel. Fantastic lap. As I said, it's the first time they've been on pole position. Their best result so far, 4th place. This is the man who's going to start alongside him, Vincent Abriel. Of course, racing for the AF Corsa team on home soil in that Ferrari. Will want to add to the wins he's had already this season, will Vincent Abriel. He's been on the top step a couple of times. Here we go now to Miguel Ramos. This is your championship leader overall, Miguel Ramos and Enrique Chavez. Ramos has won round this circuit, did so last year. We'll be hoping to get that Teo Martin Motorsport car back on the top row. And he's also the birthday boy, so let's see if he can celebrate with some champagne on the top step. Joe Osborne is going to start alongside him. He is the lead Pro-Am car. The 2 Optimum Motorsport cars once again going along very well, and they're doing well in the championship. Here is Ollie Milroy, who's looking to close the gap to the top 2. 4th in the championship, he and Brendan Irwin. Ollie Milroy, the pro in that team, will start the car from 5th place. But alongside them on the 3rd row, we'll wait to see the car. Here it is, the car that you probably saw a lot of if you were watching the Le Mans 24-hour last week. That's because it won in the GTE AM class. So congratulations to Sally Ulick, becoming the first ever Turkish driver to win the event. Charlie Eastwood, the first Northern Irishman in 10 years, TF Sport. They still haven't come down from that yet. It's a fantastic result for them. And here is the other Bentley, Stefano Coletti. Not the best of runs for him. He just wants to finish a race though, hasn't seen the checkered flag yet. Stefano Coletti with a new teammate this weekend in Nicholas Veroni, another single-seater driver. Let's see if they can go well. Now we come to Bar Baric, a guy we might see a lot of next season. This is his first outing, the Israeli driver, just trying to find his feet in the championship. And Bar Baric in the top 10, so not a bad start at all, racing the McLaren, which won on both the Pro and Pro-Am classes Sunday last year. This is your lead AM car. Racing with JP Motorsport this weekend is Jens Liebhauser, the Getsby team over at the Nürburgring. But it hasn't made a difference, has it? He's at the very head of the field. Jens Liebhauser wanted to get back on the top step. They've won plenty of races so far this season, 4 to be exact. Let's see if they can add to that. This is Marcelo Hahn next along in the Teo Martin Motorsport car. Great to see Marcelo Hahn with us. And he is a driver we know very well in this championship. Let's see what Marcelo Hahn can do. 4th in class, 5th in class is Patrick Koprinski. These are your championship leaders in the Pro-Am class. They're tied on points with the car you just saw. So your 2 championship leaders starting right next to each other. It's going to be an interesting battle towards the back of the field there. A good chance for the Optimum cars up at the head of the field to take advantage. Then we come to the car who's trying to chase down your leader, Jens Liebhauser in the AM class. It's Alexander Mosey. The gap between them in terms of points is just 4 points. 10 points it is for the class winner, 8 for the second in class. So by the end of this weekend, if they beat them by 1 position and take the win, they could leave tied for points. This is RS Racing, great to see them back. They raced with us in 2018, finished 7th overall. They took a win and 4 podiums that year. They took a 2nd place here. So RS Racing with 2 Italians in the car as well, 2 drivers who've done very well in the Ferrari World Challenge. It'll be great to see them. Angelo Negro rounds out the field. He and Stefano Telli will go off 14th. And then after that, we'll run through our GT Cup Open cars. This is the car that is going to start at the head of it. Manuel Cerqueda just snatched pole position away by a couple of hundredths of a second away from Aldo Vestante. Those two going to lock horns once again, just like they did over in Paul Ricard. There, Manuel Cerqueda, who's going to start the race in GT Cup Open before handing over to Daniel Diaz Varela. And this is the aforementioned Aldo Vestante on home soil this weekend. Of all 5 rounds, this is the one he will want to win most. Aldo Vestante, I'm sure as a kid, has dreamed about winning at Monza. Will those dreams come true this afternoon? We will find out. One of the men that can ruin those, though, is Luis Silva, the Portuguese driver in the Mercedes AMG. He rounds out the field, 3rd in class, 17th overall. Well, let's go back and look at what happened last time we were racing at the Red Bull Ring, a track that always brings lots of excitement. As the cars charge their way through, there was 1 or 2 incidents in the mid part of the field there. You can see the Ferrari and the Teo Martin Motorsport collided together. The KTM Crossbow made its first entrance and did so with a bang. It would go out to take win on track, but a penalty post-race would see them demoted to 3rd place, handing the win to Enrique Chavez and Miguel Ramos. Then the very next day, we went racing once again. One of the drivers that returned that weekend was Fran Moreda. It was great to see him. He led on day 1, but leading on day 2 was the TF Sport car. There you can see the Optimum Motorsport cars just locking horns. This was the TF Sport car fighting for the lead. Charlie Eastwood in the car for them, fighting with the 59, and that was one of the instance at two different corners on the very same lap. Then we had a 1-lap restart, and it would be the TF Sport car who would go and take the win and finish on the top step. Well, I'm going to bring in Elliot Wood. Elliot, you've been waving at me just a little bit. What have you been noticing out there?
Yeah, our returning number 25 car, driven by Alessandro Vizzoni at the moment, is already under investigation.
Race number 1, very close to getting underway. The grid is beginning to be cleared. Let's run it for you one more time to remind you who will be starting where. Yannick Mettler looking for his first win on pole position. Vincent Abril looking to add to his in the Ferrari. He is trying to chase down Miguel Ramos, who currently leads the championship there in 3rd place. Joe Osborne, your leading driver in the Pro-Am class, looking to take some points away from Pro-Am leaders. Likewise is the other Optimum Motorsport car, Ollie Milroy, who starts on row 3 with 24 Hour of Le Mans champion Sally Ulick. Just outside of the top 6, Stefano Coletti looking for his first finish, and Bar Barrett, the Israeli driver, will be hoping to get his International GT Open career off to a good start. Row number 5, your leading AM driver, Jens Liebhauser. Then alongside that, we have Marcelo Hahn, who is tied on points for the lead in Pro-Am. Patrick Kaprinski, he's the driver he is tied on points with. They're 10th and 11th. Alexander Mosiv in a close battle for the AM lead, just 4 points back. Then we have Alessandro Vezzoni, who's already under investigation. We'll hear more from Elliot about that in just a second. Angelo Negro will hand over to Stefan Ortelli mid-race. Let's see how they get on. And then behind that, our GT Cup Open Europe cars. We have Manuel Cerqueda, who just took pole away from Aldo Vestante. Expect a close battle between those two. And then rounding out the field is Luis Silva. So, Elliot, back to you. We've got car 25 under investigation, you say?
Yep, so once the cars head to the grid, the pit lane is closed for a certain amount of time entirely as a safety measure. And car number 25 actually passed through the pit lane, which breaks Article 33.2b of the sporting regulations.
As we all know.
Yeah, as we all know, and it's currently under investigation. Now, obviously, this is our returning entry. Hasn't been seen since 2018. So it would be a shame if they basically start this race with a penalty hanging over them already.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see RS Racing here. They did that 2018 season, and it's great to have them come back. And I said the 2 Italians in the car there, big names in GT racing. One of them a Ferrari Challenge Europe winner, one of them a Ferrari World Challenge winner, and jumping up from Italian GTs as well. They've raced together, have the pair. So they know each other well as teammates, but unfortunately under investigation. This is an onboard view we have with Angelo Negro. He's starting towards the back of the field, 14th in class. He and Stefan Ortelli. Well, back at Paul Ricard, Stefan Ortelli gave some great shots, made some great moves there. Let's see if he can do more of the same. He's going to certainly have to try and move his way through the order. He's Stefan Ortelli. Speaking of, they had their best results of the season last time out. They got a second in class at the Red Bull Ring. It was their best result by quite a long way as well. They finished down in top 5, at the back of the top 5, a couple of 5th and a 6th. Then they went out and got second. Was a real good result. Seemed like a breakthrough result, but Angelo Negro qualifying for this down in 14th place, giving Stefan Ortelli a bit of work to do. We all know Stefan Ortelli, he's raced just about everything. I think they're going to be ones to watch in qualifying tomorrow and definitely towards the end of the race. Pit stops happen between 28 and 44 minutes, so that is when we will see the guys coming into pit lane. Some of them are carrying success penalties as well. One of them that isn't is Yannick Mettler. Team Lazarus were not here last round, so they have a very, very good chance to win today. There you can see that beautiful Bentley car making its way into the Ascari chicane. Well, as we said, 2006 was when the International GT Open kicked off. It kicked off here. Dodge Viper won on that day. Let's see which car can win 15 days later. The weather is certainly better than what we had that day. We were being told this morning that it wasn't exactly very good weather that day, but it hasn't been very good weather the last couple of days. But just in time for when we're going to go racing here in Italy, things have cleared up, and there you can see the grid now forming up. To the left of screen, that is going to be your pole sitter, Yannick Mettler, and to the right of screen will be Vincent Abreu. We're going to have onboard shots throughout. One of them is going to be from Angelo Negro. Nervous faces down in the pit lane as we come towards the last corner. 17 minutes on the clock, 2 races this weekend. This is the first of them. This one will be 17 minutes. 60 minutes will be tomorrow. They all have to do a mandatory pit stops. Those will start at around 28 minutes into the race. But 28 minutes, who's going to be coming into the pits first? Let's find out as they make their way up to the start-finish line to officially kick off the second half of the 2020 season. This round number 4, and it's going to be Team Lazarus, Yannick Mettler, who's going to lead us down to the first corner. It's a long run down there, and he gets his foot down, and it looks like Abreu's going to be challenging him down towards turn number 1. Miguel Ramos trying to get involved as well as we charge down towards the first corner. Side by side to the left of screen is Lazarus, to the right is the AF Corsa of Abreu going through the first couple of corners. You can see the red car there. It's Sally Ulick. Oh no, he's tagged one of the Teo Martin Motorsport cars. Just about gets going again, and I think everyone's through nice and safely, but Yannick Mettler out front has held on to the lead. Ahead of us is Stefano Coletti in the second of the Bentleys. Once again, as he's been doing all season, not making the best of starts, but a good start for the other Lazarus car, which leads into the first corner. I think it might be Optimum Motorsport who are actually in second. Joe Osborne making a tremendous start from the second row. He's up into second place. Abreu is then in third. Fourth place is Miguel Ramos. That was Sally Ulick being challenged by Marcelo Hahn. Marcelo Hahn is still going to be alongside as they make their way down towards the second Lesmo. In fact, it looks like that is Bar Barrich on his very first race. So Bar Barrich trying to get past Le Mans winner there as they now make their way downhill and up towards the Ascari chicane for the first start. I'm not going to say it's a clean start because it certainly wasn't, but everyone has got through and is still circulating as we come up to the second half of this lap. Your top 3 starting to escape slightly as they now go down towards Parabolica for the first time. In the back of picture, you can see the blue and white car of Manu Sakeda battling away there with Aldo Vestante for GT Cup Open Europe lead. Here, side by side, Sally Ulick there in the bright red Aston Martin is going to be passed, and Bar Barrich makes his way up into 6th place. So a great start there from Bar Barrich, but can he hold on as they now come out of the Parabolica? Slotting back into the toe there will be Sally Ulick, and Sally Ulick will certainly be challenging him again as they go down to the first chicane. Here we go, down to the first chicane now, this for the second time. Is Sally Ulick going to try and make a move? He pulls out of the slipstream. This at the top of your screen with the headlights on there. Sally Ulick, they'll come into picture now, and Sally Ulick is now just about, he's going to go wide under brakes, and it looks like, I think he might be behind for the time being. But, well, what a hectic start that was, Elliot, but we're all circulating.
Yep, and I've been carefully looking to see if there's any rear wings that might have gone missing, and I think I might have been Stefano Coletti, who has kind of dropped to the back of the order.
Not again.
Yeah, there was a lot of debris going out the first chicane, and we could see it being kind of thrown up into the air as other drivers head over it, and I think that might as well be Coletti. He's entered the pits, so he has completed the lap, and most of the time he actually lost was in the first sector.
I don't believe it. I mean, what does this man have to do to finish a race?
It might be the front splitter, actually. It does look a bit mangled on the front.
Yeah,
so it was Coletti's car.
Front right. You see the front right there. Yeah, that doesn't look like that Bentley. So yeah, that's going to take some work. And once again, Stefano Coletti in danger of not finishing a race. I cannot believe this.
And they've got all their lights on, all the cars up front. But I can absolutely guarantee you that it is, bright sunshine here in Monza.
Yeah, it is sunny out there, as you can see. Right, let's take a replay of the start. So here, side by side, we can see Abriel and Yannick Mettler, and then in that predominantly green car, that's Joe Osborne making his way through. A bit of traffic causes a bit of a collision, but everyone gets away nice and safely, except for Stefano Coletti, who picked up some damage. So here we see it in the bright red. Sally Ulick nowhere to go, and goes into the side of the Teo Martin motorsport car. Behind that, there is a bit of a queue, but we get through nice and safely. So here you're going to see everyone now starts to queue up, things slowing up, and there is the contact just ahead. But Angelo Negro, he got through just fine. And at that stage, we couldn't tell if Stefano Coletti had picked up his damage already. But certainly by the time he got to the last corner, he was almost struggling to see where he was going. And I wouldn't have been surprised, and this is nothing against Stefano Coletti, with the luck he's had, I wouldn't have been surprised. That pit crew was probably almost expecting something to go wrong, because every race so far something's gone wrong for them. Now, car 88 must give back the position. That just come up on screen, and Patrick Koprinski has given the position back to Alexander Mosiv. Let's do a full run through. That's your leader in shot. The black Bentley making its way through in the green and black McLaren. There's the fight for second. This a little bit further back. This is the number 7 of Ollie Milroy. Now going through the field, we've got Yannick Mettler leading. Then it's Joe Osborne leading Pro-Am class. Then Abriel, Ramos, Ollie Milroy, Bar Barrett, Sally Ulick, Marcelo Hahn, Lee Pauser, Alexander Mosiv is now 10th because Patrick Koprinski has given that place back. Then it's Angelo Negro, Vezzoni, Cercada leading GT Cup Open Europe for Stante Silva, and Coletti's in pit lane.
Yeah, and given it's Barbaric's first appearance in this series, he's doing pretty well. He set the fastest first sector of anyone, done a pretty decent sector 2 as well. He's currently 6th in order, and we're going to see him in the picture now. So it's a good start to this race, I think. We've obviously had Coletti, almost I'd say the only predictable thing about GT Open in 2020 is Stefano Coletti having a not exactly thrilling start to a race. But apart from that, it's pretty close action in front. 1.9 second lead for Yannick Mettler right now after 3 laps. But there's around kind of 0.7 seconds between most of the cars after that, and I think we calculated earlier for one of the other races around 0.6 seconds because you kind of slipstream gap. So maybe some of the gaps have already opened up, but as we've seen in all these GT Open races, it all closes up again at some point.
Well, Bar Barrett, for those of you who don't know him, 24 years old, has had 5 wins in the Italian GT Championship, so knows what he's doing in this country. Oh dear, that's Manuel Cercada getting it a bit wrong through the Ascari chicane, but he hasn't lost that place, so Aldo Vestante was not able to take advantage. Well, he has now, as they come into view on screen. Aldo Vestante takes the lead going into the first chicane, and Aldo Vestante now leads. Gaps-wise, Yannick Mettler has got himself a gap of 2 seconds. This is the battle, though. This is going to go all the way to the wire. It certainly could do. Aldo Vestante now defending. Manuel Cercada taking a wider line. He'll close that gap going up to Lesmo 1. Silva really struggling to hold on. It's going to be a long race for him, and he's dropped back already. Yeah,
and it's been 3 laps and they've dropped pretty much 30 seconds, so we can safely say race pace 10 seconds a lap slower than our GT Open runners.
Yes.
So that would take, it's 150 second lap, no, 100 120-second lap almost, so probably 10 laps.
While you work that out, here is the move for the lead. So Out of Estante goes down the inside, and plenty of room given by Manuel Sequeira, and that is a fairly textbook move around the Monza circuit. That gives you a view of what 2 seconds look like. Yannick Mettler pulling away, and any second now, Joe Osborne is going to have to start defending. He's become a bit of a problem already for Vincent Averill. That car is escaping. One thing I would say is a new fastest lap there for Yannick Mettler. One thing I would say is the cars second and third in this queue, Averill being the first of them in that 17, they are the ones battling for the championship. Now that is Miguel Ramos and Vincent Averill. They are split by just 7 points. Now, first gets 15 points, second 12, third 10, and fourth 8. So they're only split by 2 points. So that gap will close very quickly. It didn't take me a long time to work it out, but it will close to 5 points. Really, I'd say if Averill can get Joe Osborne between himself and Ramos, then that is, I think, the thing that they will be looking to do in this race.
And as we have seen in previous races, once you get a car that probably isn't going to play ball, and it's between 2 cars that are racing for class position, you know, they're not just going to concede to you because you're in a different battle to them.
Oh yeah, no, there's no way. I mean, Joe Osborne, very quick driver, he's going to want to be getting overall very good results. So they've already had some pretty impressive results this season. As Joe Osborne in that Optimum Motorsport car, as they now make their way down towards Ascari. Looking a little bit further back, this is Jens Liebhauser in the JP Motorsport car. Has a gap of 5 seconds over Alexander Mosiv in that second car in AM class. But this is your battle for second place, being led in the green and black there by Joe Osborne. Place, and then behind that Miguel Ramos and Averill very close, but just can't seem to force Osborne into a mistake, can't seem to get close enough to make a lunge down the inside.
And Patrick Krupinski has been asked to give away another position, I believe. Car 88 to give position to 48, that is Angelo
But
Nicaro.
he's 3 seconds back. I mean, he was never ahead of him, was he?
I don't think he was, no, because he was actually ahead of Moiseev, who's the AM class runner earlier in the race.
But he's cut at turn 4, which is the second chicane. So there is a route round, isn't there? That second chicane.
He just made up 3 seconds. He was just sitting 1 second ahead of him and made up a free. Yannick Mettler's going faster each lap. Currently it's fast lap. And we're watching a battle between 2 of the Mercedes at the moment, which is obviously the AM class lead battle and Patrick Krupinski, and we'll get a notification now for car 88 to give back position. I don't think he can do it here, but
No.
you better get it done quickly, because obviously you don't you don't act on these messages quick enough, you do get penalised.
No, yeah, so this is Mosiv and Kaprinski, and that's Kaprinski the second in that gold and black Mercedes. That's the car that needs to basically drop back from Mosiv in the green and white Mercedes. Needs to drop back and give the place back to Negro, who, if you look to the top of your screen, is there. So there's where Negro is, and he is fighting with Vetsoni, who is new into this race. And up in the top of the screen, you can see just swapping positions coming into Ascari there. Nice move that made. That's Vetsoni going past Negro. Great move that from Vetsoni in the number 25. Brilliant move under brakes, and Vetsoni, that's for 12th place, but nice driving. But this is going to be very frustrating here for Mosiv, because he's got Kaprinski battling with him. He actually needs to give the place back behind, but he's clearly ignoring that, and Kaprinski has gone through to 10th place for what I can only see will be a short run time there, because Kaprinski needs to give this place back. But nevertheless, we'll call it as we see it. They're side by side coming down towards turn 1. Mosiv to the right of Victor on the outside, Kaprinski on the inside, and this is really not what Mosiv needs, because he shouldn't be being held up here, but Kaprinski goes through and takes the place.
I think this happened last year, and the outcome was the same thing. You know, he tried to pull away, overtake other cars. He successfully did that, and then the stewards after the race kind of reviewed everything, looked at the pace, and gone, could they have realistically given that back, that position?
Right,
and they still gave them penalty. That was their final decision. So I expect the same this year. And obviously in GT Open, you have the driver swaps. They could be brought back together anyway. Here's a replay of 2 of the Ferraris going against each other.
That's Fezzoni.
Yeah, Fezzoni and the number 20.
That's Negro. So this is on board with Negro. That's the move made, and very, very well controlled by Fezzoni. Nothing Negro could do there. And gave himself a gap, so he wasn't under pressure going into Parabolica. This is your battle for second we return to. That's 4th place and championship leader Miguel Ramos in the 59. That's the gap for Yannick Mettler. It's a pretty impressive gap. It's 3.7 seconds.
And as Yannick Mettler comes around Parabolica, he's going to go past his teammate as well, who is still sitting in the garage doing nothing.
He's done 1 lap.
Yeah, a sad end to the race for the second Lazarus.
I mean, if you add up the amount of laps Stefano Coletti done, it's only really a handful, isn't it?
This season, yeah. Because obviously
in a racing situation, he's not done many laps at all.
In practice and qualifying, you have your one driver and a second driver doing different sessions, so he doesn't even get to do all the track action there is anyway.
I mean, I'm in racing. He hasn't done a lot, has he? Because most of his problems have been at the very start of a race, except for the very first race when he was turned round. I don't know, it was a few laps in, wasn't it? He was turned round, coming through the second to last hairpin when he was in second. That was a shame. But other than that, it seems to have been, you qualify in the mid-pack, you're in danger of being in an instant, and Stefano Coletti is currently driving around with a target on his back, and everyone's just, finding their way to make contact with him, or he's making contact with someone else. We can't blame it all on everyone else.
And the stewards have already made a decision on the Patrick Kapinski, Alexander Moiseev and Angelo Negro incident of sorts, which is a 5-second time penalty for Patrick Kapinski, because he's already overtaken another car when he should have been handing back a position. So now he's only going to get 5 seconds, which brings him back into pretty much where Negro is. So I'm not a steward, but I'd say he almost did the right thing there, in that he had the pace to pull away, and there was, if he take the penalty, which is going to be equivalent to it anyway.
We don't want to say that too much. Oh, he did the right thing.
Yeah,
by cutting the
I
track.
would say obey the rules, obviously, first.
That would be the new racing line.
Well, we had a similar problem last year where Tom Onslow-Cole ended up a lap down, but he was the fastest driver on track. But because he was a lap down, he kept getting blue flags. And the stewards were a bit like, what do we do here?
Right, okay. Tom Onslow-Cole, of course, racing in the Prime Class 8, just missed out on the title when it was at this round, really. It sort of all fell apart for them. He and Valentin Pierreberg, who were racing together last season for SBS Automotive. Now this is Fezzoni we're looking at. We've got onboard views with Negro, which has been great to see. And so far, Negro, he's not being well, I was about to say he's not being dropped too much, but I'd say that's just changed on this lap. Just to bring you an update, GT Cup Open Europe, 2 seconds between Vestante and Cercada. So, the front of that car isn't looking like it's very stable, is it? The Moiseev car.
Potentially, there is a bump there.
That's going to come up, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a bump on the run set, so it does make all the cars look a little uncooperative.
I think they will sellotape that. They'll gaffer tape that thing down when he comes into the pits.
And we've now got the official reprimand come through. So no penalty, only a reprimand for the returning RS Racing team.
Yes, yeah. So that's the car 25, which is this one here for RS Racing. So no respect starting procedure. Well, that was what we said. That basically happened all pre-race, didn't it?
Yeah, and we're now looking at the GT Cup Open Europe lead, which would normally be in a completely separate race to this, but we're now seeing it instead 1 minute behind the leaders, and it is very close between Aldo Festante in the Ombre Racing Porsche and Manuel Cicada in the Audi. We've spoken many times about kind of the strengths of these two cars. I think at Monza, the Porsche would probably have the advantage.
Well, yeah, yes, I'd say so. I'd say it should go pretty well around here. That's why we're seeing the Bentley leading, because it's, I mean, Yannick Mettler driving very well, but if they've got a chance to win, this is going to be one of them, isn't it? Around Monza, it's a very quick car. And
with no success ballast, they've already got 4-second lead, and they're going to have a shorter pit stop than their opposition.
Yeah, so handicaps do get awarded to the drivers. It's a minimum pit stop time, and handicaps are added on once you get good results, once you take wins. top 3 finishes essentially. This though, let's return to this battle. This is out of Estante. The gap is coming down. It came down by 4 tenths last time. That is what we saw on Manuel Cerqueda. And it's starting to come down a little bit more as we return. This is the number 25 of that zone.
And Vincent Abreu in third place as well. He's now only half a second behind Joe Osborne. Miguel Ramos isn't making progress in 4th place behind. He's kind of setting a steady pace around 3 or 4 tenths slower than the cars in front and has dropped 1.2 seconds already in these first 9 laps of the race. And we're kind of seeing on screen right now the whole AM-class battle play out. And we're going to see a replay of number 57, which is Barbaric, obviously in his first race. Going through the first chicane, taking quite a lot of curb on the first part, but not much on the second, and going through. Now this McLaren, Teo Martin had a bit of a dramatic Monza last year, and they've avoided all that drama this time round, but they're not currently at the front of the field, which is obviously be their aim. We're seeing the first of the McLarens, Joe Osborne, which is actually a Pro-Am entry, just holding off Vincent Abreu now. So Abreu's closed in 4 tenths, I think, on this lap.
Closing in, so that we had a look at the Optimum Motorsport team there. Joe Osborne doing a very good job. As much as there's long straights around here, if you can keep getting that gap out of the chicanes, you know, through the Lesmos, out of Ascari, then you'll have just enough each time to hold on. And Joe Osborne has just a little bit more than that so far. And you can just see how close they are in terms of time. So lap 9, which was a couple of laps ago, 2 tenths closed in, but other than that, they have been absolutely tied for times. Last time round, they did a 1:48.4, 1:48.3 respectively for Osborne and Abreu, and Yannick Mettler did exactly the same time, 1:48.3.
Yeah, it does look like the Ferrari's losing ground on a straight line here, and it's the Bentley and the McLarens, which are, you know, pretty beastly-looking cars. They're pretty large, and they are pulling away at the moment on the straights, but on the brakes, the Ferrari does look stronger. Obviously, Vincent Abreu, quite experienced driver as well. It's doing a good job there. Further down, the GT Cup Open battle has got closer again. Personal best on our front two, Festante and Cerqueda, 1.5 seconds apart. They're not going to be approached by our GT Open leaders yet, but I think Louis Silva in third place could do within the next few laps.
Now, someone's had an off, haven't they, out of Lesmo 2 there. Brought some gravel back with them as a bit of a gift for everyone else.
There's also some late blossom, I think, on quite a lot of the trees going around the circuit. When the wind picks up, it pulls a lot of...
that was the last thing I expected you to say, I have to say.
Would you call it debris or just leaves? If we're going racing terminology. Debris from the trees.
I don't know.
Blowing it onto the track.
Well, someone was telling me on their drive here from the airport, they had a tree across the motorway, and everyone just had to stop and wait for it to get cleared off. Anyway, completely irrelevant. Here's how that gravel was brought on. And Joe Osborne, it was just a little bit of an off, nothing really too bad. That was, I think, on the last lap, and he lost 2 tenths out of it, so didn't really do too much damage to Joe Osborne. This is the number 7 of Ollie Milroy, so this is the second of the Optimum Motorsport cars. The two have, well, the Optimum Motorsport cars, they've been very quick, haven't they? But the only thing that's stopped them from being in the fight for the lead of the championship is the instance that they've had. One of those being at Paul Ricard, which we remember when the 2 AM drivers were out there and found each other. But championship-wise, we're tied between Christian Klein, Patrick Kaprinski and Marcelo Hahn, the 2 teams. Optimum are basically tied for points, Nick Moss and the Nick Moss car and then Ollie Milroy, Brendan Irib car by 1 point, but they are 13 points back from Christian Klein and Patrick Kaprinski. Really, they could do with starting to close that gap, and currently they would do that with this result. If Joe Osborne brings that car home in the lead in Pro-Am class, he takes 10 points, and Patrick Kaprinski is 4th in class. He would score 4 points. So all of a sudden, you know, that gap closes down.
And in the overall classifications as well, the Yannick Mettler car has an opportunity to overtake both of the Optimum cars in the overall standings with this victory. If they take it, there's now a 3.8 second lead, so it's going up by around 1/10 per lap on average. Joe Osborne's off earlier this time round may bring that up more. 3.982 seconds now. We're 12 laps into the race. Our leading GT Cup Open entry, because we do need to keep an eye on that race, because obviously it's a whole separate classification. 1 minute 21 behind.
Yeah, the gap between those is 3 seconds, but just quickly going back to Joe Osborne, I should really tell you what those points they will score, what that does to the championship. So the Joe Osborne score, if it scores 10, the other 4, obviously that's a 6-point difference. In terms of the championship, that would bring the gap down to 7 points. And we're hitting traffic. That's Lewis Silver in the silver Mercedes, and just about gets out of the way, and there goes your overall race leader, Yannick Mettler, through.
I would have said few as well.
Yeah,
it did look a little too close to comfort.
I did, yeah. I was trying to say two things at once. I don't know, racing drivers seem to do it just fine.
So the question is, why has Louis Silva dropped 24 seconds to the other GT Cup?
Oh dear, look at this. Sorry to cut across you there, but that was a scary out of Lesmo 2 there. Joe Osborne, I think some expletives being said in that McLaren as he approached Lewis Silva, but just about got out of the way in time. Now we go on board with our race leader. Let's have a listen out of Ascari. Sounds great, doesn't it? The Bentley, the Team Lazarus car making its way down to Parabolica. This is a great on-board, isn't it? With the Team Lazarus car now coming out of Parabolica. But this is the battle, and I think Silva just got out of the way in time before holding these guys up. Oh no, 4 wheels off there for Joe Osborne. You've got to be careful. Now in our Euro Formula Open Championship, which was we had 2 qualifying sessions earlier, that is where people were running wide and they were picking up penalties in the process. I think if you do it once, you're okay, but do it too many times and you will be getting a penalty. So this, the number 72, leading Prime car. This is Abril, 2nd in the championship overall. The championship leader is then 4th. This is the battle for 2nd place. This could easily change hands in the pits, and we're approaching those pit stops. Drivers are getting ready because oh wow, there you go. That's what me and you do before every time we qualify.
I was going to say those drivers and engineers should be wearing masks. They usually are. They're just getting ready to get in the car, which is why they've broken from the usual protocol there. As Louis Silva gets lapped by another car.
If you are putting your lid on, of course you have to take it off. But there we go. We should make something like that, should we? Before
we could. I do a lot of running about, so I'm not sure I have the time to.
Well, yeah. Well, you walked home, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah. If anyone wants to come to see GT
Open
Open in Monza,
bag with you.
Yeah. If someone wants to go see GT Open in Monza next year, I believe it is on the 2021 calendar, and you can go see the old banking. You can do the whole track by foot, and then you can also walk to the local town and the 2 towns beyond that.
Yeah.
It takes an hour.
Have you been round the old track yet?
I went at 10 p.m. last night, so I can't tell you much about it. It was
Did you see where? I was going to say you couldn't see where you were going.
Yeah, but you can hear the cars coming through when they do have nighttime sessions. They often have tractors sweep the track in between sessions. I don't know why they're tractors, but well, there's a long history. Lamborghinis started as tractors.
Yeah.
Engines for the post-military tractor engineering was part of the economy at the time.
I tell you, if there's anyone who knows, a lot or knows people here at Monza, do let us know. Do get involved. Use the hashtag GT Open, because Mark, who commentates on TCR Europe, was saying to me that he went around the old banking 5 years ago, and then when he went this year, he said it looks like it's here's another. Stefano Ortelli. This is his warm up trade, but he was saying it looks like it's been redone. So I think they do. I think the track does. Keep it up to date. I don't think they, I know it's been there for a long time. This is one of the top 3 oldest tracks, by the way.
Alongside Indianapolis and Brooklands, by any chance?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was expecting to whip that out to you, but Elliot Wood, of course, I forgot who I was next to there. But yeah, one of the 3 oldest racetracks ever.
And there's one fact I don't know about GT Open, though, and that is in Yannick Mettler's car, when we go back on the onboard, it says, "Welcome Nala Lily." On the inside of the car, just next to the steering wheel. Big panel says "Welcome Nala Lily," and there's a little pink bow. I'm wondering if that's the birth of a child. And if anyone knows online and can come and tell us via Twitter, it'd be great. Hashtag GT Open, of course, because otherwise I'm going to be wondering about that for the rest of the race.
Yes. Okay, there we go. That's interesting. Yeah, it's always nice when we see messages carried on cars, but two of those cars are battling away with each other, and here they are on screen, as they have been doing now for a long time. It looks like they're almost ready to swap places, but we will start seeing the countdown soon to the pit stops, because it is just only under a minute away before they're going to be coming into the pits now. Well, I'd say the pit lane will open. I'd say Joe Osborne and Ollie Milroy are going to stay out till for as long as they can. Yannick Mettler should stay out, really. He's got no need to come in. This is one of the Ferraris. Oh, yeah, that might have hurt. That's Angelo Negro, who I think made his decision too late to go across the bumps there. Oh, and didn't miss the second one either.
It's good onboard there. It shows you the approach speed of that corner. Because obviously the first chicane, you're coming at very high speed, but that second one, you're coming at lower speed, but you're actually accelerating into the corner as late as possible.
Great onboards. Loving those. They're going to be great to watch throughout the weekend. This is Aldo Vestante coming out of Lesmo 2. Just about dodging the gravel. Manos Arcada likewise. But pit lane is now open. These two, by the way, are split by 2 points in the championship. This is your effective battle for the lead in the championship, with Nicky Luttweiler not being able to be here after a crash at the Le Mans support race last week. So isn't able to get things ready in time. So, well, we hope he's okay as well. But Aldo Vestante and Manuel Cerqueda battling away with each other. 2 points between them, and it's 2 points difference in terms of the gaps, in terms of point. In fact, no, sorry, it's a 3 point difference for 15 and 12 for second. So, with the result as it is, the gap between the two would increase.
And this times very nicely with the driver window opening now, because these two cars are acting as traffic for the Dyco Team Lazarus driver, which says, welcome Nala Lilly. Welcome Nala Lilly. Let's welcome them.
Welcome.
But our two GT Cup Open drivers, so Dyco Lazarus has pitted. The others are going to come into traffic on the next lap. Will be blue flags. Inevitably going to lose time, though, so they'll fall further back from the Bentley. And they also have success penalties as well to serve in this pit stop. We see a handicap of 75 seconds for Dyco Team Lazarus.
Basically nothing, isn't it? So.
And if you've been watching GT Open earlier this year and seen, when it was previously 65 seconds, that's because Monza's a shorter track. You have to use different handicap length depending on basically, how impactful a pit stop is in comparison to the circuit length.
Sally Ulick in straight away. Charlie Eastwood will take over. Charlie Eastwood did a great job at Red Bull Ring. He was fighting for the lead there, and eventually they would go on to take their second win of the season. Now, you'd say Vincent Abreu, I think, would want to come in, wouldn't he? This is Marcelo Hahn into the pits. Alan Coder will jump out. Alan Coder pairing up with him once again. For the first time since the first round, I believe. This is Christian Klein's about to jump in.
But Abreu was actually at the peak of his tyres right now. He's just at personal best first sector. He's right behind Joe Osborne, who does have a car stuck in front of him. So this could be actually his only opportunity to get past that McLaren before he pits.
This is Daniele Di Amato.
And the number 26 Dyco Team Lazarus car is already out of the pits. As we go back to the battle, there's our GT Cup Open Europe leader, Aldo Festante, with the Joe Osborne McLaren, which is leading the race overall, and Vincent Abreu right behind. I don't think he's going to go for a move at Parabolica. Whether they're going to go into the pits, though, is another matter. We're going to have to see how far ahead Festante is.
Sometimes teams will wait and go, if he comes in, stay out, and vice versa. So Elliot's attempting to look, but don't worry, Elliot, it's on screen, and neither of them have come in. Yep, so they stay as they are.
And one of the Thierry Martin McLarens has come out the pits just next to them. Comes out behind those, so that's traffic already cleared.
Yeah. Now, this is where it gets, you can see Abreu there just filling the mirrors. This is basically your battle for the lead overall at the moment, because pit stops are currently being done.
Who will this probably benefit? Charlie Eastwood. He's just taken over the TF Sport Aston Martin. Clear track ahead of him by some margin. And obviously he's not being held up by GT Cup Open Europe drivers right now.
No, is he? Yes, he is. Yes, sorry, I thought they were both 14 seconds back, but yes, so he's got 14 seconds of clear track ahead of him. Now, this is the Negro Vetsoni battle. They have swapped places, it appears. in pit lane, so it's no longer Negro and Bezzoni. Apologies. It is now Stefan Ortelli is the driver who has jumped into the 48, and Daniele Di Amato has jumped in to the 25.
And Aldo Festante is now up to 9th place, so a GT Cup Open Europe car in a GT Open race. That's a surprise for a start in itself, but he's still just about on the lead lap and in 9th place. Actually, no, not on the lead lap now, because he's literally just been passed by our top 2 on the run to Ascari.
Yes. But those two still fairly close together. But here we go. This is your battle. It's for effectively second. Officially, on this lap, it's for the lead. Who's going to come in first? Is it going to be Joe Osborne or is it going to be Abriel? I think Abriel would want to do one more lap. Joe Osborne will go to the end. I can tell you that. He'll stay up. He's the pro in a Pro-Am team, so they will want to keep him out on track as long as possible. Abriel will probably know that, so what does he do? Does he try and come in a bit early, or does he wait and have the fight in the pit stops?
And also Abriel knows that the driver he's handing over to is also a pro, whereas Joe Osborne isn't, so they're likely to be the faster car after the pit stops rather than McLaren. We have the GT Cup Open Europe leader Aldo Festante pitting. That now promotes Manuel Cicada to the lead, just as Luis Silva, who is 3rd in that class, comes out of the pits. So he's actually going to be in the path of no one at the moment. So Luis Silva isn't going to cause any issues to any GT Open drivers. Watching the number 44 pit right now, that's Florian Scholz, the AM class leader. He might drop behind Alexei Nezov.
Yeah, Alexander Mosey and Alexei Nezov swapping over. They've also completed a stop, so really we're only waiting for 5 cars. Manuel Cicada will hand over to Daniel Diaz-Varela. Bar Barrich will also come in and make a stop as well. This is his first race. Great to see him out on track. He's got to yet to do a stop. He's going to hand over to Christian Hahn. Out of Ascari chicane, so this is the continuing battle between Abriel and Osborne. Down towards the final corner they go, and it seems to just be getting a little bit closer on every single lap, doesn't it, as they come around the final corner. Abriel versus Osborne, 2 different classes, but Joe Osborne will want to fight for that overall win, no doubt. Down the start-finish straight, Abriel once again just not going to be close enough. We've got a new fastest lap from Enrique Chavez. Enrique Chavez has just jumped in, having been handed the car over by Miguel Ramos. They are championship leaders. They've just gone past Florian Scholz. They're trying to basically go past this battle, aren't they? They're trying to leapfrog that battle we saw on screen. Here's the number 57 coming in. This is Bar Barrich and Christian Hahn. This is the 3rd of the Teo Martin Motorsport cars this weekend.
A very strong stint by Bar Barrich on his, his first GT Open appearance.
I don't think that was too bad, was it, for a first run from him? Great drive.
Ferrari there getting very kind of trying to get in both mirrors to tell the McLaren that he wants to get past if there is any room to. You rarely make an overtake at the Lesmos unless you're probably Fernando Alonso. And they're going to go on the run down to Ascari now. They've still got, I believe, is that the TF Sport Aston Martin in front of them?
Yes, it is. That's Charlie Eastwood in that car.
And he has, so he has pitted, and these 2 cars haven't. So we'd expect them to come out around 10 seconds ahead of that car on the next lap.
And Christian Haas, first time we've seen him since the 2nd round. Great to have him back. He was alongside Marcelo on that occasion as they come down to the final corner.
Manuel Cicada's just been overtaken by 2 cars on track, so he's now down to 12. Hasn't pitted yet, no, I believe.
No,
that is the
Vestante has pitted. Your leader in GT Cup Open is in.
So gaps are very close there. So he's just been overtaken by 2 of the pro GT Open drivers.
Down to the first chicane. We're over halfway through, so let's we'll wait till they've all come in actually till we do a recap, but we are into the 2nd half of this race now, into the 2nd half of the championship, as well. And on track, this is the second place driver of Vincent Abriel. Now, what's the gap back to Ollie Milroy? It's 5 seconds. Here is 1, 2, 3 in terms of positions altogether in shot. I'd say Ollie Milroy is closing in. Let's have a look. Not on the last lap, but he isn't far away, is he, Ollie Milroy? We've not mentioned him at all, really. And I think he has deserved a little bit more credit, but he is just behind Abriel, who is in your picture. Milroy at the top of your picture in the blue Optimum Motorsport McLaren car is keeping these guys honest.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that.
I think Milroy was actually behind the Miguel Ramos Enrique Chavez car, which was why he dropped 5 seconds to this gap and then to this battle, and then it's kind of remained at around 5 seconds ever since. Currently at 6.1 seconds. So on the most recent lap, Fabrizio Crestani in the Dyco Team Lazarus car has just set that car's personal best lap, and it is still ahead of Enrique Chavez by 14 seconds almost.
Daniele Diamato coming out with a bit of a bang there, straight over the curb. It says Ollie Milroy is slower than these guys on this lap, but it looks like he's closing in.
Neither of those cars have taken to the pits again. We've now got less than 4 minutes left of the driver changing window, so that is 2 laps. 2 laps they can kind of eke this out to. 0.65 seconds between our top 2 cars, pretty much same gap all the race. I believe that is one of the Teo Martin McLarens.
That's one of the Teo Martin cars, isn't it?
Yeah, so that is currently...
Well, that was really confusing me for a second.
Lap down, Alan Coder, so taken over from Hahn. And Eastwood, so we now know there's a gap of at least kind of 10 seconds between that car and Eastwood, and they were battling for position.
Yes, Ollie Milroy is, we might just about see him in the top of the picture. Wait for it. There he is. And he is 5 seconds back, 6 seconds back now. So dropping back even further. Oh, that's Coder just running a little bit wide. We are, let's see, in terms of pit stops finishing, we're getting a little bit close to that.
Yeah, it's only our top 3, so Osborne, Abriel and Ollie Milroy, and the GT Cup Open Europe race leader, Manuel Cicada, who still hasn't pitted, but is dropping around kind of 4 seconds per lap to his class rivals.
Here's Louis Pret getting ready to go out on track, trying to add to the 2 wins they've had so far this season. One of those being at Hungaroring, one of those being at Paul Ricard. They took wins in race 2 at both events there, and race 2 at Red Bull Ring, they took a 2nd place. So they go well on Sundays. See how they can do in terms of Saturdays, because so far on Saturdays, they had a DNF at Hungaroring,
and they pitted.
And
so the Ferrari has pitted. Joe Osborne has stayed out. All that's actually allowed is the Hahn car to close in, or the Coder Teo Martin McLaren to close in on them. And I believe it's a handicap of 90 seconds for this car, possibly even more, given the recent success it has had.
Well, this will, the next lap,
85 seconds.
The next lap, whoever hasn't come in will have to go in, basically. And Louis Pret jumps in.
Yeah, Manuel Cicada will have to, because obviously the GT4 cars aren't quick enough to get round in the 1 minute 34 seconds.
So Joe Osborne with no immediate pressure now, will be only looking forwards. Let's see if this is a lap. This is a crucial lap for him now, isn't it?
Cicada does take to the pits. So GT Cup Open Europe battle could change. Daniel Diaz-Ferreira will take over that car.
He's going to jump in. Strong pairing. They've been great together, as you can see their handicap on screen.
Now, I think that's because the length of a GT Cup Open Europe race is different to a GT Open race. So they're kind of making up for that by changing the handicap penalty system for that. And obviously Aldo Festante, when he did his pit stop, he jumped out the car, ran around it twice in a circle and then jumped back in, because he didn't have anyone to hand over to, and he couldn't think of anything better to do during that time.
Yeah, that's the standard thing though, isn't it? You've basically got to get out of the car and then get back in the car. That's sometimes the standard.
Well, he was living up to his name as well, because Festante kind of means like celebration in Italian.
Does it?
Yeah, it's kind of like jovial joy and kind of cheering.
Okay. Here's Louis Pret, by the way, if you're interested in anything else. Louis Pret's come back out. He's there in the number 17. And there we go, right on cue. Optimum Motorsport, the number 72 is in. And I expect the number 7 will follow it in about 7.5 seconds time. So here we go, and Optimum Motorsport Q are ready, and 80 seconds is their handicap. That is Joe Osborne jumping out, and Nick Moss will jump in. And that's the number 7, so the 2 Optimum Motorsport cars together, the crew working very hard.
And I think Henrique Chavez may have successfully overtaken all of these cars to move into second place. We're going to switch to the...
This is Crestani,
the race leader, Fabrizio Crestani, in the Dyco Team Lazarus car. He has a 12.6 second margin to Henrique Chavez, and he was 1 minute 13 seconds behind Nick Moss. Handicap system was, what, 80 seconds? That is 1 minute 20 minimum. So I'd expect him to definitely come out in the lead. Chavez, touch and go if he comes past Nick Moss for second place.
Well, as we said, you know, with no real handicap, Crestani, that we expect him to extend their lead. And here, that is the Nick Moss car making its way down the pit lane. And any second now to left screen, there comes the first of the Optimum Motorsport cars. About 6 seconds behind will be the second, and already through the first chicane is your leader. So we'll give you a full run through at the end of this lap as to who is where and what the situation is. There is Henrique Chavez to the right of picture, so they're coming through it together here. This is going to be your battle for second place.
Yeah, and they've got, well, it's not Louis Silva anymore, it's Antonio Coimbra in the GT Cup Open Europe.
That's the number 7 though, isn't it? So Brendan Irib, that is in third. And then that's Henrique Chavez in fourth. Henrique Chavez now will want to clear Brendan Irib if he can. And this is basically battle for third overall in picture. Brendan Irib, who has been given that number 7 car by Ollie Milroy, batting away with Henrique Chavez, who leads the championship in International GT Open round. Lesmo 1 they come. They've got traffic approaching in the form of Luis Silva through Lesmo 2. Henrique Chavez will want to clear both of these cars as quickly as possible.
And just as Aldo Festante does take the lead of GT Cup Open Europe. So Brendan Irib's going to get successfully past the number 60 Mercedes. Is there enough room to, you can see kicking up grass there as he goes past. Henrique Chavez has as well.
Right, here we go. So they're both through, but this still is your battle for third place. Luis Silva is in the GT Cup Open Europe class. That's Antonio Coimbra, sorry, he's jumped in for Luis Silva. As we come down to Parabolica, and on the right-hand side of the track there, you can see Henrique Chavez looking both directions. He's now on the right-hand side of your picture, looking to the outside of Parabolica. Brendan Irib defending. Henrique Chavez should be able to get the switch back, and before they're even out of the corner, that is a change for a third with Henrique Chavez going through.
Yeah, a great bit of kind of being patient there from Henrique Chavez. Didn't make a dive, he just kind of waited for the door to open itself. But the side draft has done its job, potentially, for Brendan Irib. Could he go later on the brakes into turn 1 and reclaim the position? No, he hasn't. Henrique Chavez is in third now, but 14 seconds down on the lead.
That's an official change for third place. Right, let's do a run through then. We are well into the second half of this race. 70 minutes on the clock at the start of it. 24.5 minutes on the clock now. All the pit stops are completed. So Fabrizio Crestani, he leads by 10 seconds over Nick Moss, who has just jumped in that number 72 from Joe Osborne. This battle on your screen is your battle for third place. That is fourth, you see in the number 7. So Henrique Chavez, your championship leader, now trying to chase down Nick Moss. He sits 4 seconds behind. Brendan Irib fourth. Then we have Louis Pret. They were struggling with a handicap in the pit stop, so they've fallen back from this. They are now 6 seconds back. Christian Hahn, having just jumped in the car from Bar Barrage, is 6th. He is 5 seconds back. And then behind that is Charlie Eastwood. Will come back because this looks like Daniel Diaz Varela leaving the pit lane. And to the right of the screen, that's Aldo Vestante going through. So that was the change of lead in GT Cup Open Europe. Now, where did we get to? Charlie Eastwood is 7th. He's within 5 seconds of Christian Hahn. Alan Coder is third in Pro-Am in 8th. Alexei Nezov leads the AM class. Christian Kleen is right behind him, so battle for 9th overall, and he splits the two. So Florian Schultz is only 3/10 behind Christian Klein, so a real good battle going on there for 9th overall. But we have our 2 leaders in AM, the 2 championship leaders, split by your Pro-Am championship leader, Christian Klein. Then 12th place is Stefan Ortelli. He is 14 seconds back from that. Then it's Daniele Diamato. We did see a replay of Aldo Vestante in the Porsche going past Daniel Diaz Varela, who left the pit lane, and he now has 11 seconds over him as well. Antonio Combra third in class. This is the battle, so this looks like the moment that Christian Kleen got through and got past that number 13 AM. Oh, and he went over the curbs there, almost a little bit of contact, and just pointing at the screen, it looks like we've got something being reported there. So Christian Kleen, that's how he lost the place to, or unsuccessfully got past Alexei Nezov, and he is now splitting those two, the 2 JP Motorsport cars as well, in Christian Kleen and Florian Schultz together on track.
Yeah, and Florian Schultz, his team manager, has been asked to report to race control, as has the car team manager of Nick Moss in 2nd place. Now, usually when we see this in GT Open, it tends to be for the pit stop sequence, and they're investigating that. So I suspect, although we don't have the information at hand right now, that is what they'll be investigating.
Maybe.
Probably more likely to be too short than too long.
Yeah. Well, you got what I was saying. They weren't in long enough, basically.
You can see Crestani complete the 26th lap of the race with 22 minutes to go. 13.6 second lead. I think this race is pretty much won for Dyco Team Lazarus, which is great news for them because they've had a pretty tricky start to the season.
It really would. This would be a really, really good result. The Bentley car, which has never had a full season in this championship, they're effectively not going to have one here because they missed the last round. But this is, this is going to be the first real campaign of it, and I believe this would be the first win for Bentley in this championship as well, which would be a fantastic result. And Fabrizio Crestani would be the one to bring it to the flag after a brilliant stint from Yannick Mettler. And sadly, though, as one of them leads, the other one is in the pit lane, having only done 1 lap. And Stefano Coletti, his misfortunes continue now. Look how quickly Enrique Chavez has caught Nick Moss. He was 4 seconds behind Nick Moss on the last lap. He's closed that gap in incredibly fast. And Enrique Chavez is now right on the tail of Nick Moss as we come into the Lesmo sequence. We could see a change into Ascari here up towards Lesmo 2, and then Chavez starting to make Nick Moss very nervous now as they make their way up towards the Ascari chicane. Are we going to see a change of positions? They'll go downhill now, and Enrique Chavez trying to get through as quickly as possible. Sitting in the middle of the circuit there is Nick Moss behind Enrique Chavez, looking left and right. He dives down the inside into Ascari and goes through. So change for 2nd place. Your championship leader now into 2nd.
Great move by Enrique Chavez there. I mean, all the time he was stuck behind other cars. He was kind of losing 1 or 2 seconds to Crestani. He's matching Crestani's times now, but 15 seconds between them, 19 minutes to go.
Yeah, that was definitely another pit wall, wasn't it?
Yeah, you get stressful when you're watching these McLaren cars, especially after all of the GT Open races last year, where they tended to get in collisions through either teammates' faults or, like slower cars getting in the way.
Well, they had a great Sunday here last year. Now, car 44 has been given a 5 seconds time penalty to be added to race time, so wasn't in the pit lane long enough. This is a replay of the move. We'll talk about that in just a second. Sold the dummy, goes down the inside, classic move. That's the kind of stuff you learn in karting. That down the inside, took a bit of curve with it as well, and Enrique Chavez goes through. So your championship leaders, if they stay where they are in terms of their championship rivals, Louis Pret and Abril, they will extend their gap at the front.
I'm not sure if you can trail brake in these cars, but it did look like he dabbed the brake, made Nick Moss think, oh, he's already starting braking, and then come off the brake and actually got ahead, was on the inside line into the corner, braked properly and got ahead there. It's a very clever move by Enrique Chavez.
Yeah, we saw the Teo Martin Motorsport team there, just watching on. they're going to be looking now at the gap. I think it's going to be too much now. Car 72 has been given a 1 second time penalty to be added to the race, and I think that was the reaction we saw with one of the team members shaking their head. They were not in the pit stop long enough either, so they did not serve their full handicap.
Which means they now have a 4.6 second gap to their teammate Brendan Irebe in 4th place. Now we've seen them get very dicey in races several times this year, but it does actually look like the Nick Moss car is kind of half a second quicker than Brendan Irebe. So I don't think that gap will get any closer now that that the Henrique Chavez car has got through.
Yeah, I mean, a 1 second time penalty is not the end of the world, is it? But a couple of penalties were awarded. The other one was it to
Florian Scholz,
Florian Scholz,
5 second penalty.
Now that doesn't drop him any positions, but well, it makes any chances of getting past Alexei Nezov pretty difficult. And in your battle for the AM Championship lead, there is only just, as I bend down to pick up a piece of paper that I dropped with the AM Championship on it, 4 points. So it's going to be 2 going into tomorrow.
And I do believe they do still award full points even when you only have 2 entrants in class. You do still get the full points of 1st and 2nd place.
So it'll be 2 points. It's going to be very close, isn't it? Yeah, let's ride on board then. This Fabrizio Crestani looking to get this win for Team Lazarus on home soil. The first win of the season as well. The first podium of the season. And perhaps the first win for the manufacturer in this championship as well. Taking all the curve there through the left of Ascari. Now hang over to the right of the circuit for powering all the way through the second part and onto the straight now, making our way down to the Parabolica. Fantastic pictures coming to you there from Fabrizio Crestani as he makes his way now down towards Parabolica. You can see the front of the car really dipping down there, under braking through Parabolica now. And so far, so good for Team Lazarus, and I honestly have my fingers quite literally crossed for them, because they deserve a little bit of good luck, because I'd say good luck, they've done this all on their own, but they just deserve some things to go their way for once, because everything has gone against them all season. And this would mean a huge amount to them if they could do this and do it on home soil.
And one of their main title rivals is Louis Pret Vincent Abreu Ferrari, currently in 5th place, but we're seeing it on screen, chasing down Brendan Irebe in 4th. There was half a second gap between them last time round. I imagine that'll be a lot closer this time. Roughly still half a second. Can he get any closer on the brakes to turn 1? They've just gone past our commentary position, which you might be able to see on screen. I don't think you can. We're quite far out away from the track. And the Ferrari lines him up, but stays behind. He doesn't want to lose too much time here, because I think the Ferraris do have the pace to challenge Nick Moss for 3rd place.
Well, look who that is. We've got Charlie Eastwood now. He's not far away from this lot, is he? At all, he is. You can see, if you look at the gaps to the left of your screen, next to the names, that basically shows the gaps to the driver ahead. And Eastwood, I wouldn't like to try and work it out, but the gap to 4th place is, I'd say, about 3 seconds. That's 3rd place at the head of your, that's 4th place, sorry, at the head of your screen. And you can see them all queuing up behind. So we've got Irebe who runs wide, and here comes Louis Pret. He's going to dive down the inside in that Ferrari into Lesbo too. Oh, be careful, guys. And just about hanging on round the outside, Brendan Irebe. Well, that was close.
And I think that the 2 cars behind are definitely in slipstream range now.
Yes.
So we have probably got a 4-car battle for 4th place right now, which literally 2 laps ago, there was probably around 6 seconds covering these cars. So potentially a mistake from Irebe has brought Pret and the cars behind back into contention. Yeah,
the 3rd in queue is the 3rd Teo Martin Motorsport entry for this weekend, with Bar Barrich in it. He's now handed over to Christian Hahn, who we all know. And Christian Hahn, look at them all queuing up, 1, 2, 3, 4, all in the line as they go down towards Parabolica. Louis Pret trying to get down the inside into Parabolica. Can't quite get through. Christian Hahn is now trying to get the switch back. We've got Charlie Eastwood, Le Mans winner behind that, and going through. Christian Hahn, he takes that place away from Louis Pret. So a change for fourth, but we could be 2 by 2 here as they make their way down to the first corner. We've got the winning Le Mans car at the back of it, 3 wide. They're now going to be down to the first chicane. Brendan Irib is going to be scared at the front, isn't he? He's going to be like, how am I going to hold all of these off? He locks the brakes, and in the red TF Sport car, that is Charlie Eastwood making 2 places down the start-finish straight, and Charlie Eastwood goes from 7th to 5th and dropping all the way to the back of the queue, Louis Pret. Wow, fantastic racing. Brendan Irib there. He's going to be looking in his mirrors. What am I going to do with this slot? And as they go down to the second chicane now, Brendan Irib once again trying to hold on, and he has now got Eastwood behind him.
The way the car jolted out of the first corner, I think Brendan Irib's got a right rear flat spot as the TF Sport Aston Martin goes the inside, and Lesmo 1 takes 4th place already. He started this lap back down in 7th, so great job there. I don't think the McLaren will be able to make a move at Lesmo 2, but he's already lining up, going alongside already. I think there definitely is a problem or a flat spot for the Irib car. Alongside on the run down to Ascari as he goes the dip down the hill. Is the Ferrari going to try to make it 3 wide? Lovely shot at the leaves there. And Brendan Irib does have the inside line, but no, he's already cut behind, so that's another change position. Hahn is kind of back up into 5th because he was briefly 5th for about a second, exiting Parabolica. So Eastwood's already got a gap ahead, then it's Hahn, then it's Irib, and Louis Pret is all over the back of Irib again. Second lap in a row, going to try the same thing, possibly look down the inside of Parabolica.
Well, Louis Pret is going to be thinking, get out of the way. He's been staring at the back of Brendan Irib for far too long now, and Brendan Irib has done a fantastic job at defending, but I think, as Elliot correctly says, I think carrying a flat spot after, unsurprisingly really, locking the brakes, you know, when you've got 3 cars all queued up behind you, all side by side, you're going to be looking behind rather than ahead. And I think we're about to see a dive down the inside from the man at the back of this queue, Louis Pret, but can't quite do it. And look at the difference it's made from Eastwood there. He was in the right place at the right time, took advantage. He's now in 4th with a 1.6 second gap over Christian Hahn.
Yeah, and the third tow Martin McLaren, which you might see at the back of the picture, current job by Alan Cadell, was setting personal bests, has made another 2 seconds on these cars, so now only 4.4 behind. And Henrique Chavez in 2nd place is dropping time hand in fist of Fabrizio Crestani, now 23 seconds behind. Nick Moss is closing back in for the battle for 2nd place.
Yes, that one's interesting, isn't it? Nick Moss closing in. This is the AF Corsa, guys. A little bit... I don't think they're going to be too pleased with what they're seeing, because they've gone from having a chance to go off and try and challenge for a podium to being at the back. And look, Louis Pret's now going to look to the outside here. He's going to be side by side with Brendan Irib down towards Ascari we go. Oh, leave him enough room, Brendan. Just about leaves enough room. There's Louis Pret now. He's going to be on the outside. This will be a brave move if he tries it into Ascari. Doesn't quite do it in the end. And Irib still defending. He's doing a brilliant job, isn't he? Here's Brendan Irib, the American, out of Ascari, now down towards Parabolica. And once again, we see Louis Pret trying to look to the outside, looking left, looking right, and he might just find a gap on the inside here, but it looks like the McLaren has the legs over the Ferrari down towards Parabolica. And that, as you said, Elliot, we would have saw in the top of picture, Alan Coder closing in, but let's come back to that, because it looks like Pret has got the run on the exit of Parabolica. Is he finally going to make this move? He's going to be completely side by side down towards turn number 1, but once again, the McLaren just about has the legs, and down towards the first chicane, he still holds the position.
Yeah, the McLaren, oh, wow, another flat spot for Brendan Irib, I think on the rear left as well as the rear right there. I was going to say the McLaren is really strong on the exit Parabolica. We see it every lap as Louis Pret Ferrari gets loose. Talking of the Ferrari, Stefan Ortelli down in 12th place. He still hasn't got past Florian Scholz for 11th. He started off around 15 seconds behind. We're going to see a replay of, I think, 2 laps ago where Charlie Eastwood made up 2 or 3 positions in one go. First of all and there's a replay of the first of the flat spots for Brendan Irib. You can see the car kind of being uncooperative later around the lap. So a brilliant job by Eastwood, and not so much for Irib.
Yeah, well, he was just in the right place at the right time and got through, as Alam Coder is now only 7/10 behind this. So Alam Coder, there he is. So this is once again Louis Pret side by side with Ayub, and he's now through. So Louis Pret gets through, and here comes Alam Coder. Will he be able to do it first time? As once again Ayub almost squeezing him onto the grass, but Alam Coder, he's going to try and go around the outside. This is going to be very brave. Alam Coder into Ascari. He's side by side. They make a little bit of contact, but he's through. Fantastic move, and Alam Coder, with probably the move of the race so far, goes up into 7th place on his first attempt. What a move by Alam Coder. He's up into 7th, now has the chance to take the fight to Louis Pret. Great racing, Brendan Irib. Well, he fought very hard in that battle. I'm sure he had a lot of fun in the process as well. We'll come back to that though, because this is Nick Moss going ahead of Enrique Chavez. So your leader in the Pro-Am going past your championship leader and second in Pro. So Nick Moss up into 2nd place. Fantastic driving. I need to remind you, he is the Am in that Pro-Am driver lineup. And I'm sure somewhere in the pit lane, there's going to be a very happy Joe Osborne with what he is seeing here, because Nick Moss taking the fight to the overall championship leader. Fantastic racing from the Optimum Motorsport driver. He is now 2nd. I don't want to take anything away from what we've just seen, but is there a chance that Enrique Chavez is carrying a problem, because he has dropped back very quickly, and already Chavez is dropping back from Nick Moss. So there is a very good chance that something isn't going right with that number 59 Teo Martin Motorsport car, and that would be very good news for Louis Pret, who is trying to chase them down. And I remind you before I hand over to you, Elliot, Charlie Eastwood and Sally Ulick, because they are only, in terms of the championship, they are only 8 points back from Chavez. So if something goes wrong for that car, then they could cash in on some points.
Yeah, and Charlie Eastwood has been the fastest driver last 2 laps. Here's a replay of the move. Nick Moss overtaking Enrique Chavez. So Chavez was dropping around 2 seconds per lap to Crestani, starting around 3 or 4 laps ago. So that was around maybe 8 minutes after, well, eight minutes after he took over the car, possibly he started dropping time, and then it's got worse. Previously, Chavez had been doing a great job. Here's a view of our leader, who's just lapped Aldo Festante, the GT Cup Open Europe race leader, for a 3rd time, I believe. And there's 13 seconds between the class battle there. But the class battle here is 30 seconds between Crestani and Chavez, because obviously Nick Moss is the Pro-Am leader, so there's a class between them. And we're going to see a replay. Well, no, not a replay. That's Louis Pret fighting with Alam Coder. Coder potentially going down the inside of turn 1. Is he going to? He's thinking better of it. Wants to avoid kind of flat spotting of Brendan Irib, who's dropped 3 seconds to these two already.
Now, Charlie Eastwood so far doing a brilliant job. He is closing in on the battle for 2nd place, or what was the battle for 2nd place. And in terms of your championship fight, he would be at the head of the top 3 if he gets past Enrique Chavez. And this is that battle. So this is Chavez leading Eastwood, but for how long? Eastwood's got the headlights on. He's keen to get past, and he's going to want to do it straight away into Lesmo 2. He's going to fill those mirrors up and puts pressure on Chavez. Are we going to see another move around the outside into Ascari? Down to the Ascari chicane we go. That is a look back at Christian Hahn. Next along, this is Pret versus Coder. Where do you put your eyes? Irib at the top of picture, but this could be a change for 3rd place overall, and 2 of the championship leaders changing places with each other, and that Chavez car is in danger of going back even further as well.
There's definitely an issue with the Chavez car, because he's 2 seconds slower than every other car on track right now, apart from the GT4 cars.
Wow. Yeah, and that's Nick Moss at the ahead of that, trying to get put a lap on one of the what might have been one of the GT Cup Open Europe cars. Is Daniel Diaz Varela, who's 13 seconds behind Aldo Vestante. Here we go though. This could be the moment that we may see a change for 3rd place. Charlie Eastwood's is trying to get a toe. No, he's not going to be close enough. So it's going to stay as it is. But this is really not good news for Pret in terms of the championship. This is, if the checker flag went out right here, right now, Eastwood would go up to 2nd in the championship. He and Sally Ulick, and Pret would drop back. And would lose quite a few points to Chavez as well.
And in the remaining 4 minutes, I think Eastwood could actually close in on Moss because
Yes.
he's going slow on the exit. That is the Teo Martin McLaren. He's pretty much stopped on the exit of the first chicane. I think that's Henrique Chavez car. We're going to have to wait to see the splits.
That's him there, isn't it? So that was potentially someone else, but that's Chavez there. So
that's number 59. So that's another of the Teo Martins has stopped.
So which was it? Was it Hahn in the 57 that stopped? We'll see when they come through the second split. But let's go back to this battle. We'll work that one out in just a second because this is Eastwood versus Chavez, and just ahead of these guys, 1 second ahead of them, there's Nick Moss. So second, third and fourth, all in picture for you. Your leader well clear from this, 30 seconds to be exact. And I think it may have just been a poor exit and looked like he was going to slow up because that is Christian Hahn there ahead of Louis Pret. But let's hopefully get back to this battle for second. There it is. It just goes through view. This is Louis Pret trying to battle with Christian Hahn, but this is two of the championship leaders fighting away, and Charlie Eastwood trying to get past, but Henrique Chavez is going to be getting a tow here from Nick Moss, and I think that might just help him hold on into Parabolica.
Yeah, the battle's getting very close. Stefan Ortelli still hasn't got past Florian Scholz. He's been half a second behind for 4 laps now, and he is in the second of the Ferraris. We're going to see our leaders cross line. Half a minute gap for Crestani now with 3 minutes to go. He's got this race wound up already. 8 tenths between Moss and Chavez. Another 3 tenths between Chavez and Eastwood, which we're seeing right now. And now 8 seconds back to Hahn. So that's opened up massive amounts. I think there was a problem.
Yeah, I think you're right, because Pret's all over him once again, and so's Coe there. So there's a 3-way battle here, and there's a 3-way battle behind. 2 3-way battles in the top 7. I think you saw it at the top of the picture.
Yeah,
that was
Stefan Ortelli still behind Florian Scholz.
Yeah, that was Vestante getting out of the way of the battle for 5th place. Here we go. That's out of Vestante. We can see just going through the second chicane then. Only a couple of laps to go. The last lap board is going to be going out very shortly. I think the next time Crestani crosses the line even, it might go out as they come through Lesmo 1. There's what the gaps have done to Nick Moss.
Is past Pret for 6th place, so Louis Pret's dropped another spot.
That's not good news, so he's going to drop further points to Chavez and further points to Eastwood, who's now going to move up into second in the championship. He and Sally Ulick. Down the hill they go and up towards the Ascari chicane. That's the 51, your leading GT Cup Open Europe car, who could become a bit of a problem here for Nick Moss. Nick Moss is going to be flashing those headlights, get out of the way as they come down towards Parabolica, and in fact he'll grab a tow before he goes past him, and they should all get past him just about going into Parabolica. I'm getting quite nervous for them, as the teams will be, as they come into this final corner, and just about they all get through. Oh no, but running wide there. Henrique Chavez runs wide. Charlie Eastwood says thank you very much. He's now into the podium positions, and that is a change between 2 championship rivals, with Eastwood now trying to close the gap here to Henrique Chavez, and he could do that even further if he can get past Nick Moss. This is the penultimate lap now, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and I'm trying to watch the gap between Scholz and Stefan Ortelli. Ortelli's still stuck behind 0.163 seconds after the second Lesmo.
You sound as frustrated as that team will, I think. Not through yet.
Yeah, AF Course, a hugely successful team, and their cars are just not making progress on this race.
No, they aren't. And here's someone we haven't seen for a while. This is Fabrizio Crestani, who is getting ready to start the final lap of the race. We haven't seen much of them, have we, since the start of the race? And as I always say, that's either really good or really bad. When it's really bad, you're the Stefano Coletti car who did 1 lap. But when it's really good, you're the Crestani car, who is 30 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. And this is the final lap now. So this the run down to the final corner. Fabrizio Crestani, we'll come back to that in just a second, because just 1 lap to go. They missed the last round. Team Lazarus, though, on home soil in the Bentley. It's going to be, I believe, the first time we see it take the top step in International GT Open. And taking it to the line is going to be Fabrizio Crestani. And that is how you do it. What a comeback there for Team Lazarus. Their first podium and their first win. And it's come off the back of a lot of drama. But this is the battle for second place now. Charlie Eastwood in the tow of Nick Moss. It's going to come down to the final corner. This the battle for second place. Nick Moss leading it. Charlie Eastwood looks to the outside. He's not going to go and try around the outside, is he? Yes, he is. Charlie Eastwood all the way around the outside. outside of Parabolica. He's going to give it a go. They're going to be side by side out of the final corner. It's a drag race to the line. Who's going to make it there first? Is it going to be Moss? Is it going to be Eastwood? It's Moss. Oh, they're tied on the 13 thousandths of a second between Moss and Eastwood. Eastwood now being shown as he's got it, but as they cross the line, Nick Moss had it. Oh, of course they had a 1 second penalty. Well remembered, Elliot. So Nick Moss gets through. Charlie Eastwood finishes in second. Nick Moss in third place. Enrique Chavez only 2/10 back in fourth. Alan Coder was fifth. He finishes second in Pro-Am. Then it was Hahn next along. Louis Pret will be gutted with that seventh.
I think Ortelli has finally made the move in the middle sector. I've waited half an hour for this. Ortelli has finally got past Florian Scholz, 11th place.
So Irib finishes third in class in 8th. Alexei Nezov in 9th. And then 10th place is Christian Klein. And I'll let you call, the others.
Ortelli crosses the line in 11th. 5.7 seconds
because he had the 5 second penalty.
So only 0.7 seconds in the end.
We both
Florian
forgot
Scholz.
that there was 2 crucial penalties there, and with everything that was going on, we forgot all about them. So really, that battle wasn't actually that close.
Neither battles were for anything really.
This is confirmation of the result. The Bentley on the top step of the podium in International GT Open. 15 years ago in the very first race, it was a Dodge Viper. 15 years later, it's a Bentley that's on the top step. Crestani and Mettler, Ulick and Eastwood finished second, just ahead of Moss and Osborne, who are your Pro-Am winners. Then it's Ramos and Chavez in fourth place. Hahn and Coder fifth. Barrich and Hahn on Barrich's first race is sixth. Pret and Abril will be absolutely gutted with that seventh place. They've got work to do tomorrow. Rounding out the Pro-Am podium is Irib and Milroy. A crucial result for Nezov and Mosey. They're going to half the gap to in the championship lead to Scholz and Liebhauser, who you see there in 12th, Ortelli Negro 11th. Then it's Diamato and Versoni on RS's racing return. And winning GT Cup Open Europe is Aldo Vestante on home soil. What a win for the Italian. He takes the top step of the podium, ahead of Diaz Varela and Combra. Coletti not finishing. So that is what the championship looks like. Just 4 points between Enrique Chavez and Ramos to Charlie Eastwood and Sally Ulick. Incredibly close going into tomorrow, and 11 points back. Third place, Louis Pret and Abril. There is your winners though. Crestani and Yannick Mettler taking the win. Well, considering coming into this round, their best result was fourth. How about that? They come up to the line, and that must have been an absolutely fantastic moment for Team Lazarus. They will remember that one. And you know what? I think that is relieved faces more than anything. They're going to enjoy that. I think he was happy with that. Crestani on home soil as well. The Italian winning at Monza in a Bentley. He must be absolutely delighted with that. That win is going to mean a huge amount to him personally, not just for the team, but the Italian taking the win on home soil. Fantastic from Fabrizio Crestani. And looking back to last year, Fabrizio Crestani, this is a repeat of last year because he won here with SBS on the Saturday overall as well. And he once again doing the double, taking another win. Charlie Eastwood and Sally Ulick second, Nick Moss in third. But there is Crestani hugging the car. The two teammates there, Crestani and Mettler, they take the win. What brilliant scenes here. And after all the bad luck they have, you can just tell how much that means to them. Absolutely delighted. Fantastic scenes down in pit lane. You've got to feel happy for them. I don't think there's anyone in that paddock. You can see other drivers and other team members coming over. There's no one in the paddock that is going to be unhappy with those winners. There is Sally and Charlie. I think they looked a bit happier a week ago. But, well, considering where they were halfway through that race, I think they should be very happy with that. They've closed the gap to 4 points, and they finished second overall. And I think there's going to be a very happy Optimum Motorsport team. They got 1 and 3 in Pro-Am class, and they take 1 in Pro-Am along with third overall, so they will be very happy. But let's go down now to the pit lane to here. Well, first we'll have a look at our top 3, shall we? Nick Moss taking third place for Optimum Motorsport along with Joe Osborne in the 72. Finishing in second place, it's Charlie Eastwood and Sally Ulick. A brilliant recovery after struggling in the first phases of the race, but taking the win. They finally got to the podium, and when they got there, they got to the very top step. Fabrizio Crestani and Yannick Mettler win. Team Lazarus winning on home soil, likewise for Fabrizio Crestani. Let's get down for some interviews.
And we are with the winners of race 1 at Monza. Maiden win for the Bentley of Team Lazarus with Yannick Mettler and Fabrizio Crestani. Yannick Mettler, you did pole this morning, so what were you thinking about that?
Yeah, for sure, that was the goal. Way and to pull a gap and then bring it home. It's always the best case scenario. Got a little hit at the start into turn 1, but other than that, all smooth, and Fabri brought it home. Yeah. Great day for the team and for everybody, for us.
And Fabrizio to win here at Monza, of course, it's the best place.
Yeah, it's a feeling I cannot describe, and also for the team, you know. We started a new project this year with the Bentley, you know, a new car and so on. Due to the COVID situation, we didn't have any testing. So actually we went in Budapest, taking the race as a free practice, you know. And then we improved a lot. We worked a lot, not only on track, but also at home. And yeah, yesterday everything was looking good. Yannick did a mega job today. It was a magic lap, pole position, pulling away. I just cruised my way to the finish line, and I'm so happy, yeah, speechless.
Well done, guys. Podium now.
Thank you.
You have deserved it.
Emotional scenes down in the pit lane there, but let's remind you of your top 3 in GT Cup Open Europe. Luis Silva and Antonio Combra. They'll want to find some pace overnight, but nevertheless third place for them. Second place, Manuel Cerqueda and Daniel Diaz Varela dropping away in the second phases of the race, but nevertheless second for them, and a good result for the championship got there in the end. But your winner, Aldo Vestante, we'll have a look at him next. There he is, the number 51, winning on home soil. Dreams come true for Aldo Vestante, and he won by 14 seconds. Let's go and hear from Aldo Vestante.
Aldo Vestante back to victory, and here at home is it must be a nice feeling.
It's a sweet feeling, yeah, and it was really sweet when I overtook Cerqueda in the first stint, because I really wanted to win it on the track. You know, I didn't want to wait to undercut or overcut. I wanted this win on the track, and I got it. I'm super happy. I gotta thank the team once again, and yeah, it feels really good. It feels really good, and I want to do it again tomorrow.
Well done for now. It's good for the championship. Podium now, Aldo. Thank you.
Well, let's have a look back at the highlights then. It was Yannick Mettler after the first pole position for Team Lazarus. They led the way down towards turn number 1. The Optimum Motorsport car in the green and black colours there going up to second. Joe Osborne, there was a little bit of contact there with the TF Sport car running in to the side of one of the AF Course cars, but everyone just about made it through. Unfortunately, the Bentley you see ahead, Stefano Coletti, would once again have to come into the pits and retire for the race. This was the battle for the lead in GT Cup Open Europe. That was the moment that Aldo Vestante took the lead, and from there he would go on to win on home soil. This was brilliant move with Angelo Negro being passed by Vetsone on their first race, a return for RS Racing. Then we had the pit stops, and after that it turned into one of the best battles we have seen. This was Aldo Vestante making his pit stop, but out front no one could keep up with Fabrizio Crestani. He would go on to increase his gap to 30 seconds as the rest of the pit stops improved. We have the likes of Enrique Chavez making his way through. This was Brendan Ivory trying to hold off 3 cars in the bright red colours there. That was Charlie Eastwood making 3 places in about 3 corners. That the last of them to go up and take the fight to the top 3, eventually going on to finish in second place. Brilliant things behind us. Nick Moss got his way back past Enrique Chavez. He would go on to hold off Enrique all the way to the flag as traffic came into play. This was the moment that Chavez made a mistake into Parabolica. Charlie Eastwood going through, but out front it's the first time we've seen a Bentley on the top step. Team Lazarus winning on home soil, and a win likewise for Fabrizio Crestani on home soil, and a run to the line. Charlie Eastwood just about pipping Nick Moss, who was carrying a 1-second penalty. Well, we wait now for the podium, and well, I've got to say, I was struggling to get words out at times. Honestly, I think when you see a race like that, Elliot, you do feel very lucky to be in the position we are, because you just see the emotion there from Fabrizio Crestani holding back tears. And you know, this is something that all of these guys, I think, are going to, particularly Team Lazarus, are going to look back on for a long time.
Yeah, and I always think when we're watching GT Open races, you look at kind of lap 10 and you go to the end and go, how do we get here? How do we get all this close racing at the end? When the lap 10 you go, this can't possibly happen.
Here are your top three, though. So to the right of picture, we have the Optimum Motorsport team, Nick Moss, and to the left, TF Sport. But on the top step, Team Lazarus, Crestani and Yannick Mettler. And to the very left there, that is the Team Lazarus representative. And all three of them very shortly. We were missing one of the drivers. I think that's Nick Moss. He now makes his way on to the podium. Fantastic scenes up there. Now the national anthem. I don't think there's anything better than that if you're Fabrizio Crestani in particular and Team Lazarus, but Yannick Mettler likewise. What a brilliant performance from him. The Italian national anthem playing on the top step. Trophies now aloft. Fantastic race. That, I'd say that for me, it's got to be the race of the season so far. That was really, really entertaining all the way to the end. And the stories that emerged for it, I think, makes it the race of the season. That move as well from Charlie Eastwood round the outside. And I mean, in the end, it was only 13 thousandths. Nick Moss did just about hold on, and he'll be looking back at that penalty that they picked up. And it was that in the end made the difference. There you can see the Optimum Motorsport team, and they will stay there. Not those guys. Well, in fact, they will stay there because they've got two cars coming on to the Pro-Am podium as well. Here's a look back at your top three in Pro-Am. It was the Brendan Irib and Ollie Milroy car that finished third in class. They'll be slightly disappointed to have dropped back towards the end, but overall a good performance. Likewise from Alan Coder and Christian Hahn. They take second in class and put on a fantastic display. But so did your race winners. Here they are. It is Nick Moss and Joe Osborne who take the overall win in Pro-Am, and third overall. Fantastic performance from the pair. We'll now get them on to the podium. Starting with third in class, this is the Brendan Irib Ollie Milroy car. Makes his way out. Second in class, Christian Hahn and Alan Coder. They now come out onto the podium. Very happy overall. But taking the win, here they come once again onto the podium for the second time. Nick Moss and Joe Osborne, winners in Pro-Am. And the trophies up, all very happy, and brilliant stuff. I mean, to get a top three overall, it's not the first time that they've done it, but a great race all the way to the end. You know, to battle with the likes of Eastwood and Chavez and all the way to the flag. That's very impressive from Nick Moss, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you compare it to kind of the fates of the Ortelli car, for example, which is, you know, over a minute back, it shows how impressive that Pro-Am lineup is. Those two Optimum drivers at McLaren.
Well, they would have closed the gap in the championship. That's a big result in the championship if you're that number 72 car. He'll take 10 points, Nick Moss, and the Christian Clean car will take, in terms of class 4. So we did work it out already, but the gap comes down to 7 points in Pro-Am. It's all to play for now. When you come into this round, you thought, ooh, 13 points back, that's going to be hard work for Nick Moss, but he has closed that gap down now. Pretty much halved it. As we'll now get our AM drivers out onto the podium. Yep, step 2. That's where you're going, guys. Florian Schultz and Jens Liebhauser. So this is your battle for the AM Championship. Second is Schultz and Jens Liebhauser. 4-point lead coming into this race. It's now 2 because those guys, Alexei Nezov and Alexander Mosey, beating them to the flag and taking a top 10 overall. Great result from those guys. Oh, that's out of order. Trophies aloft then. You didn't see that? Alexei Nazov and Alexander Mosey, well done to those guys. We will say well done to those guys, and we look forward to seeing them back out tomorrow. But of course, we did also have GT Cup Open out on track, and we'll get those guys onto the podium next. The AKM Motorsport team there. Good job for them. Top step. Now go and get ready for tomorrow. So top 3 then. This is your top 3 in GT Cup Open Europe. Luis Silva and Antonio Combra finishing 3rd place in that silver Mercedes, the number 60. Good points on the board for them. Likewise for Daniel Diaz-Varela and Manuel Cerqueda. They'll just want to take the fight more to the race winner because they did qualify pole, so I think they'll be slightly disappointed to have finished 14 seconds back. So they'll be doing work overnight. And the driver they're trying to catch is this one here, out of Estante, winning on home soil. And this about to be something I'm sure he's dreamed about. He's going to walk on to the podium here at Monza for what I believe is the first time as well. Great stuff from out of Estante. There's the Ombra racing team. His team. Out of Estante. When you listen to his interviews, you can always tell that he very nice guy. Always remembers to thank his team. That is sometimes one of the first things that he does as well. He I think appreciates the efforts that the team put in for him. And out of Estante, in the end, 14 seconds ahead. It was a good result from him. But we wait to see what he can do tomorrow, because of course tomorrow we go and do it all again. After the racing we've had today, really looking forward to seeing us do it all again tomorrow.
Okay.
Going to be another brilliant day of racing. I'm sure they can see the cars. That's Brendan, the number 7 of Brendan Irie. But just to remind you of the times we'll be on track tomorrow. International GT Open qualifying will be at 9:35 local time. In terms of the race, it'll be at 2 o'clock. But we are not done for today. We have Euro Formula Open coming up next. So don't go anywhere, because in half an hour's time, we'll have the first of 3 races this weekend for Euro Formula. But here they come. This is 3rd place. Antonio Combra and Luis Silva onto the podium. 2nd place, Daniel Diaz-Varela and Manuel Cerqueda. But here we go. Let's get ready to welcome out onto the podium on home soil. Here he comes, out of Estante, taking the win. And that is lead in the championship. So that is racing complete. Make sure you're back with us tomorrow. That was probably the race of the season, and I can promise you we're going to have more of the same tomorrow. So we look forward to seeing you 9:35 local time for qualifying 2.